Alright. Hello, anybody watching this recording. Probably future me when I'm old and nostalgic. Uh, this is a special episode of The Crystal Tomb with me, kcStranger, and our soon to be on hiatus friend, Maxis Farstrider Estwilanandathai, otherwise known as Prophet, who, has to take a little break for, you know, life. Eh. Anyways, last time we saw Maxis, he somewhat suddenly and unexplainedly left the party. Um, so I thought we'd go back and see what actually happened to him. So to set the scene, the previous night, Maxis had done battle with an aboleth known as Blindploop and his Quotoa minions. Maxis got pretty beat up in the fight, including taking a nasty wound from the aboleth that began to get diseased. At the last minute, Colleen remembered she had a potion of vitality and did manage to cure the disease before it truly set in. They passed sort of a fitful night in that same cavern, and then the next day passed into the Quotoa city, where they were greeted as gods. So most of the party sort of went forward and started speaking with the leaders of the Quotoa, um, including a half elf, interestingly, but more on that in the main campaign. Maxis sort of lingered back with Colleen. And, Maxis, you've been troubled ever since last night. Although Colleen's potion did cure the disease, there's a dull throbbing still where the aboleth struck you. Hardly painful, but persistent. And in your dreams last night, you saw visions of the being that you first glimpsed during the battle. A tall, powerful woman with blazing eyes and a pulsing silver hammer. You didn't know why, but she filled you with dread. And now, in this city of Quotoa, you feel detached from everything, as if floating above the situation. As your companions start to either revel in their godhood or seek to exploit it for other aims, you find yourself looking down on the creatures, not just physically, but in the manner you imagine the true gods might look at you. Um, in this sort of detached state, this impulse floods into you, and you're sort of aware that you don't know why you're doing this. That it's almost some kind of compulsion, and you're a little bit wary of it, but yet you willingly give into it for some reason. You look down at Colleen and just tell her that, well, in hardly more words than this, that there's something you think you need to do, and you're not sure, but you think you might be leaving. And before she has a whole lot of time to react, you start off around the village. So just to jump to the map real quick, this little pink circle down here at the bottom is where your party entered the cavern. Colleen is still sort of by this wall, which is about a 40-foot cliff. She's at the base of it along with you. The rest of your party has gone ahead a little bit, and will briefly be continuing sort of in around the city. You walk away from the Quotoa, sort of heading this direction. The Quotoa sort of watch you as you go, but no one moves to stop you. You pass by some fungus fields, looks like farms, basically. Um, you start to cross towards what seem like reasonably nice homes. But beyond that, you see this tunnel. And again, for reasons you have trouble describing, you feel drawn towards it. And again, nobody stops you as you walk out of the village and down the tunnel. So just to give you I'm gonna put a different image up, but just to give you an idea, you walk for about half a mile, um, several minutes, before finally arriving in a cavern that sort of looks like this. There's a bunch of other stuff on this map. I'm just sort of giving you an idea of the shape of the cavern. So, it's about 450 feet across by a little over 200, and it's about half filled with water. So you arrive in this moss-lit cavern, and you wander to the water side. You can't see very far, but you can see enough to know that it runs deep. And that's when a voice speaks from behind you. Strangely, normally you would have sensed somebody walking up on you. It says, "Why don't you see what lies at the bottom of the water?"
And I've already given the necklace to clean.
Oh, yes. So when you
Okay.
left, you took out the bag of holding and the necklace, and part of leaving was sort of
Yeah.
explaining to her that. Yeah, I
Okay,
forgot
so
about
it's
that.
the terrifying spirit child that's talking to me in my head.
Correct. The
So
voice is different. It is still female, but it's deeper.
I'll try to catch. Can I turn around and catch sight of them?
Yeah. You turn around and you see a woman standing there. Um, Actually, she's larger than you. You look up slightly at her. She seems to be about approaching 10 feet tall, yet powerful and graceful. She has chocolate brown skin, thick black hair, fiery eyes. This is the same woman from the visions you've been having. And from your dreams last night. Or from the visions you had in the battle, I should say. She wears armor with a mirror polish that covers a simple white tunic, and a silver hammer hangs at her side. She smiles very gently as you turn around to look at her.
I'm not exactly in the habit of trusting people right off the bat. So who are you? And why should I jump into this abyss?
She says, "Why did you come here in the first place?"
Well, it was fun.
Right. Well, the reason you should trust me is the same reason you wandered here. No doubt you have been feeling the tug. She says, "I'm sorry, where are my manners? I should introduce myself. I am, for my brief time in this world, the goddess Avit, or her avatar at least."
What the dove eat?
Her her eyebrows just raise as she looks at you. She says, "In truth, I don't know exactly what you've seen, but you could not have been drawn here if something of my magic had not already been laid upon your heart. I see that you have accomplished a great deed recently, and the errand is not yet finished."
Okay, so I'll go look at this water. Can I see the? I can't see the bottom of this.
No, yeah. So you can't see the bottom. It's a little bit murky. You can tell that it goes down at least about 20 feet, but beyond that, you can't see clearly.
I guess I'll throw a glance back at her and be like, "This is a terrible idea," and then I will jump into this fucking pool of water.
All right. You jump in, and like the water, so like if you've jumped into like like a lake or a pond that hasn't been dredged recently. It sort of has that very slightly viscous feeling to it. Um, you imagine you'll be a little dirty when you climb back out, although it's not like hurting you or anything like that. Now that you're in, you can see down a bit further, but the bottom is still clouded from you.
Okay. And I guess she didn't appear somewhere else, obviously.
Nope. At this point, you can still see her outline vaguely through the surface of the water, but of course the light's going to be all distorted now.
Okay. I will start swimming towards.
Okay. You swim a ways down. It is indeed fairly deep, although not to the ridiculous levels of when you were in the lake before. You judge you go maybe 150 feet down. Um, at the back of the cavern, you see a tunnel that leads towards unknown parts, but that's perhaps not the most interesting thing. The bottom of the pool is actually strewn with small gemstones, seemingly at random. Um, After a moment of searching around, though, you think you see what you were sent down for. Um, there's a larger crystal, or perhaps a chrysalis of some kind. Like it looks like vaguely it reminds you of sort of the cocoon that a caterpillar weaves. It has a nearly round head and then sort of a long tail that trails off of it. It's green and blue and purple, and even in the dull light, it shimmers slightly. Um, yeah.
Okay. Can I try to like dig it out a little bit and like lift it out of the mud it's probably sitting in?
Yeah, you go over, you sort of initially just sort of pull away some of the muck that's around it, and then you start to yank on it. It's actually secured fairly strongly to the bottom of the pool. Um, Seems to be like have some sort of natural glue or something like that. Um, you can roll athletics if you want to try to simply yank it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, you're you, so you're just like, okay, I'm gonna have to do more than just a casual effort here. You brace yourself against the bottom of the pool and give it a good hard yank, and it releases with sort of a dull cracking sound.
Did
Oh, and I should
I
say,
hit
by the
like?
way, it's probably about a foot in diameter and about 2 feet long.
Oh, so I thought it was like the size of a body for a second. Okay. So I pull it up. Did it like break off at the bottom, or is it still?
You look at it, it has a few little bits of rock that are still attached to it, but it looks like it released intact.
Okay, could I bring it to the top, or maybe I don't know. Does it look like there's some way to open it?
You search around for any kind of. Well, actually, give me, I guess, perception. Okay.
Oh, good.
You quickly turn it over, looking for any kind of like crease where there might be a way to open it. You don't see anything. It seems smooth and solid. And actually, as you handle it, you're vaguely, again, reminded of something that's supposed to be open from the inside.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Yeah. You don't see an obvious way to open it from the outside. you sort of increasingly have the suspicion that it's meant to be opened from the inside, like an egg or a cocoon.
Right. Okay. Okay, could I bring it back to the top then?
Yeah,
See if
absolutely.
it
So
got.
you can tuck it under your arm easily enough. You swim back towards the top. Because you're you don't even have to worry about the bends or anything like that. Um, you, yeah, you reach the surface. You're maybe about 100, no, about 50 feet out from the shore. You swim back over and climb out of the water. As you do, the woman frowns slightly. And she says, I thought so. Farstrider, do you know what it is that you're holding?
I don't know, pod person.
She smirks. Something like that. She thinks for a moment. Do you know how the power of creation works? To cause something to be is, at once, to cause not to be many things that might have been. To give life to one is to deny it to many. These aberrations, such as the one you defeated, these are things that should not be, but yet were born of the emptiness. They are anathema to all life, good and evil. Do you understand?
Yes.
The emptiness is gaining in strength, Farstrider, and that, she points to the chrysalis, will give birth to something far worse than what you lately destroyed. Unfortunately, my power over these creatures is waning. And so, and she, actually, after that, she sort of pauses and thinks for a moment and says, Godhood has power, but it also has limits. And so, Farstrider, I would like to ask for your help.
What can I do?
You can destroy that.
Okay. So I just set it down, take a couple steps away, pull up with our axe, cut it in half.
Yeah, give me an attack roll. And
Hopefully,
roll damages. Or actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm sorry, that's not actually how it works. Okay, so you bring up your axe above your head, and you're like you're like well lined up on this thing. It's not moving, so I'd even apply the advantage roll here. And you swing down with your full force, and as you do, there's a hideous sort of like almost nails on a chalkboard sound. It's so like screeching of metal on, you're not even quite sure what. It's not even the clash of metal on metal. It's as if, even though the surface looks completely smooth, it's as if it's scraping on something or ringing against it. Your axe gets deflected down to the ground, and you actually bury it into the rock a good, about an inch. And then the goddess says, her eyebrows go up, and she says, Impressive, Farstrider, but I'm afraid it's not that easy.
It never is.
No, indeed it is not. And she smiles a little bit more broadly than she has before. She says, I don't intend to send you on this errand without any benefit to yourself. And, if you will, I'd like to offer you a choice of paths. And with this, she swings her hammer into the air, and still on the upswing, it stops with a sort of a crack, seeming to impact something solid. And there's a howl of wind, and two shimmering portals hang in the air on either side. Like, so sort of, if you draw a line between you and her, they're going to be off to either side of that line, in between the two of you.
Okay.
The woman first gestures towards the portal on her right, your left, which ripples with black lightning and crackles like a summer storm. This way lies power, she says. You will seek the axe of sundering, you will find it, and with it you will unmake that which should not be. And then she gestures towards the second, which shimmers with ice and howls like a biting wind. This way lies knowledge, she says. You will search for the cliff that was broken, you will understand your legacy, and the struggle that lies both behind and before you will make itself known to you. And then she looks at you, softens a bit, and seems to even diminish slightly. She says, again, I know this may be sudden, Farstrider, but I assure you that what we're doing here is necessary. Or I assure you that what you have done with your companions has been all that is necessary. Will you help me?
If I go after my legacy, will that aid me in destroying this? Or do I have to choose what I wanted or to serve?
I believe the second path is the less direct one. But yes, I believe it will aid you. Else I would not have offered it.
Well, I'm gonna take a quick second, think about it, and then I am going to fashion some kind of, I guess, freaking holster strap backpack style thing to hold this freaking chrysalis, because it sounds like I'm gonna be packing this sumbitch around for a little bit. And then I will take the white portal, or the one that leads to the ice, I guess.
Okay.
To the knowledge one. There we go.
Yep. All right. So you walk through. As you do, um, the wind howls at you, and although it's cold, even for you, you've got enough positive associations built up with that kind of thing at this point that it almost feels refreshing, and you have this odd sort of unexplained sense of purpose as you walk through. You emerge standing in the midst of a rocky tundra, looking up at the edge of a distant mountain range. And as you look at it, you know that this is not the familiar tundra of your home. This is somewhere else, somewhere you've never been before. But yet, it feels like home. And if you have any final comments or actions, that's all that I had prepared.
I guess I'll just mumble to myself a little bit and be like, all right, I guess let's go find out what's on the hellscape.
All right.
And then I'll continue forwards.
And that's where we leave Maxis.